Chapter 4. When all the people of Israel had finished crossing the Jordan River, the Lord said to Joshua, "Choose 12 men, one from each tribe, and give this order. Take 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan River, from the place where the priest stood. Carry those stones and place them where you will camp tonight." Then Joshua called the 12 men he had chosen and said, "Go ahead of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God and go to the middle of the Jordan. Each one put a stone on his shoulder, one for each tribe of Israel. These stones will help the people remember what the Lord has done. In the future, when your children ask what these stones mean, you will tell them that the waters of the Jordan stopped flowing on the day the ark of the covenant crossed the river. These stones will make the people of Israel always remember that day." The men did what Joshua ordered. As the Lord God had said to Joshua, they took 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan River, one for each tribe of Israel, and carried them and placed them at the camp. Joshua also placed 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, in the place where the priests who carried the ark had stood. Those stones are still there. The priests stood in the middle of the Jordan until everything was done that the Lord, through Moses, had commanded Joshua to speak to the people. Then the people hurried and crossed the river. When everyone had crossed, the ark of the covenant and the priests also crossed and stood in front of the people. The men from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh crossed ahead of the rest of the people, ready for battle, as Moses had said. About 40,000 men prepared for war marched before the Lord God, going to the plains of Jericho. That day the Lord made the people of Israel know that Joshua was a great man. And during Joshua's life, they respected him just as they had respected Moses. And the Lord God said to Joshua, "Order the priests who are carrying the ark of the covenant to come up out of the Jordan River." Joshua did this. And after the priests came out of the Jordan and stepped on dry land, the river began to flow again and covered its banks as before. The people crossed the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and camped at Gilgal, east of Jericho. There Joshua made a monument with the 12 stones that had been taken from the Jordan, and he said to the people of Israel, "In the future, when your children ask their parents what these stones mean, you will explain that the people of Israel crossed the Jordan River on dry ground. The Lord your God dried up the Jordan so that you could cross, just as he dried up the Red Sea for us to pass. Because of this, all the peoples of the earth will know the power of the Lord your God, and you will respect him forever." Chapter 5. All the Amorite kings west of the Jordan River. And all the Canaanite kings who lived along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea heard that the Lord had dried up the Jordan, so that the people of Israel could cross. And as the people of Israel were arriving, they became afraid and lost all courage. The Lord God said to Joshua, "Prepare some stone knives and perform a second circumcision ceremony for the people." Joshua made the knives and circumcised the Israelites at the hill of circumcision. He did this because all the men of fighting age who had come out of Egypt had died along the way in the desert. All the men who had left Egypt had been circumcised, but none of those born during the journey through the desert had been circumcised. The people of Israel had walked 40 years through the desert. During that time, all the men who left Egypt and were of fighting age had died because they had disobeyed the Lord God. God had said that he would not let them see the good and rich land he had promised to give to their ancestors. But the sons who took the place of their fathers had not been circumcised during the journey through the desert. This was the new generation that Joshua circumcised. The entire nation stayed at the camp until all who had been circumcised had healed. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have taken away from you the shame of having been slaves in Egypt." That is why that place was called Gilgal. That name remains to this day. The Israelites were camped at Gilgal, on the plain near the city of Jericho. And there they celebrated the Passover on the night of the 14th day of the first month. The next day they ate food from that land, roasted grain and unleavened bread. After that, the Israelites no longer had manna because it stopped falling from heaven. From that year on, they began to eat the food of the land of Canaan. Joshua was near the city of Jericho. Suddenly he saw a man standing in front of him with a sword in his hand. Joshua approached him and asked, "Are you on our side or our enemy?" "Neither one nor the other. I am here as the commander of the army of God, the Lord." Joshua knelt, put his face to the ground, and worshipped him. And he said, "I am at your service, my Lord. What do you want me to do?" "Take off your sandals, because the ground you are standing on is holy." and Joshua obeyed. Chapter 6. The gates of the city of Jericho were tightly shut to prevent the Israelites from entering. No one could go in or out of the city. The Lord God said to Joshua, "Look, I am giving you the city of Jericho, its king, and its brave soldiers. Now you and the Israelite soldiers will march around the city once a day for 6 days. In front of the Ark of the Covenant will go 7 priests, each carrying a ram's horn trumpet. On the 7th day, you and your soldiers will march around the city 7 times, and the priests will blow the trumpets. When they give a long blast, all the people will shout loudly. Then the wall of the city will fall, and each one will advance straight into the city." Joshua called the priests and said, "Carry the Ark of the Covenant, and in front go 7 priests carrying trumpets." And he said to the people, "Start marching around the city, and let the soldiers march in front of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord God." Then, following Joshua's orders, the 7 priests stood in front of the ark and began to blow the trumpets. The soldiers went ahead of the priests who blew the trumpets, and a group of guards followed the ark. During this time, the trumpets were sounding, but Joshua had commanded the people not to shout or make any noise until he gave the order. Then Joshua told the priests to make 1 round around the city carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Then they returned to the camp and spent the night there. The next day, Joshua got up early. The priests carried the ark. The 7 priests who carried the 7 trumpets went ahead, blowing continuously. The soldiers went in front of them, and a group of guards followed the ark. The trumpets kept sounding. On the 2nd day, they marched again once around the city and returned to the camp. And they did this for 6 days. On the 7th day, they got up early and marched around the city 7 times on the same day. It was only on that day that they made 7 rounds around the city. On the 7th round, when the priests finished blowing the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, "Shout now! The Lord God is giving you Jericho. The city must be destroyed, along with everything in it, as an offering to God. Only the prostitute Rahab and her family will be kept alive, because she hid our spies. But do not take anything that is to be destroyed. If you take any of the things I have commanded to destroy, you will bring disaster and destruction on the Israelite camp. But the silver, gold, bronze, and iron objects will be set apart for the Lord and placed in his treasury." Then the priests blew the trumpets. As soon as the people heard this sound, they shouted with all their strength, and the wall fell down. Then everyone went up, entered the city, and took it. They killed with their swords all who were in the city, men and women, children and old people. They also killed the oxen, sheep, and donkeys. Then Joshua said to the 2 men who had served as spies, "Go into the house of Rahab the prostitute and bring out her family, just as you promised." They went and brought out Rahab, her father, her mother, her brothers, and the rest of her family. They took all the people from the house and placed them outside the Israelite camp. Then they set fire to the city and burned everything in it, except the gold, silver, bronze, and iron objects. These things were placed in the treasury of the house of God, the Lord. Joshua let Rahab the prostitute and all her relatives live because she had hidden the spies he had sent to Jericho. Her descendants live among the people of Israel to this day. At that time, Joshua cursed the city in the name of God, saying, "Whoever tries to rebuild this city of Jericho will be cursed by the Lord. Whoever lays its foundation will lose his oldest son. Whoever sets up its gates will lose his youngest son." So the Lord God was with Joshua, and the fame of Joshua spread throughout the country.